A very good morning to you. My name is Daniel Wahome and welcome to Sports Check on this Monday morning. It is the 11th day of March 2024. And if you are involved in plumbing, today is World Plumbing Day. So for all our plumbers, thank you for doing everything to ensure that we don't have flooded things all over where we live. So that's part of the celebrations that are on today. And on Sports Check today, expect a quick-paced program. We'll be talking motorsport with the WRC Safari Rally. It's 16 days and counting. So we are getting ready for that event. And so we'll be speaking with Andrew Mwerere, who's a rally driver. The interesting thing is he's the only indigenous driver who's been entered for the Safari Rally. The only indigenous crew, together with Edward Njoroge, who couldn't make it today due to work commitments. He's had to take care of business outside of town. So we'll be speaking about that. Then we've got the African Games, the 13th edition, going on in Ghana. And the women's cricket team, they finished third in their pool, so won't make it to the semi-finals that are being played today. But the men's team is traveling on the 15th, 4 days from now, and they will be playing from the 17th of March to the 20th of March in the group phase. So we'll be joined by Joseph Angara, who's the coach of the team, and the vice captain, Lucas Ndadason. So that's the African Games, and also remember that our beach volleyball teams are there. We've also had our chess teams participating. And what about using athletics to rescue girls from FGM and gender-based violence? So there is the Magnolia Athletics Camp that is based in Oloitoktok, Kajiado County, and they already have got athletes who are competing at the national level. So we'll be speaking with Robert Saruni about athletics for good. And also joining us via Zoom is the president of the International Football Federation, Chris Wang, who is in the country. He has been running coaching courses from the 6th over the past 5 days he's been here. And also, he's here trying to make sure that the lobby is good enough to see that football, which is a non-contact sport, is included in the Olympic movement. So those are some, that's our outlook for that. And also remember, we also have got our news outlook. Our team is out there. We've got the East Africa Legislative Assembly. They are meeting here in Nairobi. And also remember that the cause list portal is being launched today by the Honorable Chief Justice Martha Koome. So part of our news coverage is all there. So that is being taken care of. And remember also there is the launch of the National Council for Persons with Disabilities that is going to be happening today. The guest of honor is the Honorable Florence Bore, who's the Cabinet Secretary, Labour and Social Protection. So a whole news package that we have got lined up for you, and we'll be rolling with it as we go on. So right now, time for us to get straight into our conversation. And we've got Andrew Mwerere. He is a rally driver. He's been involved in tarmac competitions, then decided that he can also try the gravel, does also rallycross, autocross, and now is going to be at his 4th Safari Rally. His very first one was way back in 2021. Andrew, welcome.
Thank you very much.
It's very rare to see somebody from the tarmac world deciding to go gravel, with how tough it is and the endurance that comes with a rally like the Safari. What was that transition for you 4 years back?
The transition was a bit challenging. As you can remember, my first event was not very successful because we didn't finish well. We had a roll. It's due to the sudden change from driving very fast cars on tarmac, taking corners at very, very high speeds, which is a bit different from what you find on the gravel. But as time has been going and a lot of practice on the autocross track, the rallycross, I can say I'm a more experienced driver now. I can handle the track, and I think it's a win-win for me because now if you put me on tarmac, I'm still very good. When I come to gravel, I've adapted, so I'm an all-round driver.
Well, talking about being all around, things that you learned, especially when it comes to taking corners and driving on a road that at times has been properly done for by, the Fords, the Toyotas, and the Hyundais.
No, when those WRC vehicles run fast, they are very powerful. They have a lot of traction, so they leave gullies on the road. So when it gets to our turn, it's usually a big challenge. Our vehicles are not as powerful as those, but and those drivers are honestly more experienced. They are better drivers than us, so it becomes a real challenge. But we are up to task, and that is why you've been seeing Kenyans consistently finishing and also getting good positions.
So let's talk about now, preparing for that event, and for you and also your navigator, Edward Njoroge, yes, as the team Morios, as you like to call yourselves.
Yes.
What was the process of, presenting your entry and eventually being one of the 29 who are approved by the FIA?
So the past years I've been running a Subaru WRX N12. So this time we sat down with our sponsors and we discussed, we said we are now experienced, we need to move a level up. So with the help of Betika, we were able to get a better car. Actually, we are hiring the vehicle from one of the rally legends in the country. A very nice car, which qualifies in every aspect to move into the WRC category. So the process is a bit different from the KNRC that we normally enter. So it's been an easy transition, yes, but we are looking at the mountain ahead because WRC is definitely challenging on another level.
Well, you're also involved, one of the things is that you work in car preparation, and one of the things that happened in 2021 were very serious lessons about, preparing a car to compete at that level. What were the key things that after scrutineering in 2021, you realized that you need to do for all of these cars, and before you upgraded to, for this year's upgrade, you were competing in the Kenya National?
So in 2021, we read the regulations, but there are a few things that we skipped. The number one thing that kicked majority of the Kenyans out of the WRC category was the roll cage. We have proper roll cages for safety, but they needed FIA approved roll cages with a certificate, which most of us didn't have. So for example, the vehicle I'm taking now, it has a FIA roll cage certificate. Again, on the age of the vehicle, there's something we call homologation.
Yes.
The vehicles that we were using are not homologated to run in the WRC. But now the vehicle that I'm using this time is under the Group N category of where it's a worldwide category that is participated by drivers across the world. So in that category, this time I saw 4 drivers. 5 drivers, Minesh, Sachin, myself, and 2 Italians. So that is the category that we qualified for.
The national, as they call it, the R4 class.
The R4 nationals, yes.
So when it comes to the age and homologation, because this is something people will understand and ask where the drivers coming in, cost aside, what is the age timeline, for example, for the car that you're using that is allowed?
Now, like the vehicle that I'm using this time, the Mitsubishi Evolution 10, has only 2 more years and it will be expired from the homologation. So I have 2 years to run with the same kind of car, and from there now probably what FIA does, sometimes they usually extend the homologation. But you see, you cannot depend on saying, I'm hoping they will. So you just go with the times.
Well, and let us hope that they will, because I think it was last week, but one day FIA Council did sit down and they looked at rules of making rally more affordable, such that you can have more competition in the World Rally Championship, so that it is attractive, and you probably don't have just about 10 entries for the WRC1, but WRC2 comes from all of these other places. So we'll be hoping and praying that that is done. Now, the other one that I think people need to know and you need to actually talk about is the fuel tank, because a lot was said about the fuel tank. How does that work?
There's a special kind of fuel tank that we use on our WRC vehicles. It's called an FT3 tank. Actually, my Subaru has, and most of us had already installed. It is a very safe tank where, in case of an accident or something, it cannot spill, it cannot burst, so you are assured no fire will burn you because of the fuel, because it is very, very, very secured. It is a tank that also, it has an expiry, like the way we are saying the vehicles have an expiry. So I have a proper FT3 tank, it is homologated, and we are good to go.
How much fuel can it hold?
60 liters.
60 liters?
Yes, 60
and how
liters.
far can that take you?
You know, the problem with the tanks that we have, they don't have a gauge. So it is you to do your estimates. So what I realized is once I fill it in Nairobi and we do the
super special,
I can drive with it up to Naivasha without a problem. So anytime we are doing a circuit and there is a refueling point, I just make sure that I refuel. I do not want to take the risk. It will be very bad if I'll retire because of running out of fuel. So we usually have a refilling point at the service park, and there's a remote filling station at some point on the track. So anytime that there's a refueling point, I must check in and fill my tank.
Seats and seat belts. That's another one that, you know, some people were caught up with. There is also the matter of age in terms of that.
Yes. You know, everything in a rally car, including the suits that we wear, the helmet, they have a homologation period. They have an expiry date. The expiry date does not mean that the moment you stop wearing them, does not mean once they expire they are no longer safe. They are very safe. But we have to go with the times, and as the FIA tells us, you cannot rally with this, you have to move to the next one. The helmets that we put on...
I'll actually be coming to the helmets and the fire suits, but just explain about the seats and what and the seat belts, the 5 points.
The seats are very secure. When I sit on that bucket seat, it's a bucket seat. There are a few things that I must put on together for it to be safe enough. There's a 5-point harness seat belt, and there's also something that we call a hands collar that we hang, and that is where the belts hold. So you have to put on the belt. One comes from on your shoulder, both shoulders, on the waist and under. And the ones that come on the shoulders, you have to tighten and make sure you cannot move. Actually, if I tighten my belt, I cannot even close the door. It is impossible to get to the door. So when you are seated on that seat, you are sunken, well protected. In a way, even if you roll, you will not move a single inch from your seat. So there is no chance of having an impact with the steering or the windscreen. You know, a normal seat belt on a car, it pulls.
Yes, or it locks.
Yes. These ones, they don't pull at all. They are full-time locked. You're just sitting there, no time to... If I feel like I need to scratch my back, I cannot. Finish the section, now do every other thing.
Actually, very interesting that you mentioned that, because I've seen, you know, drivers at the end of a stage, when they get to the interview point, is when they unbuckle that lock.
You cannot unbuckle it before, when you're on a track, because the key thing on the track is safety. I can be number last, doesn't matter, but let me come out safe. So in case you just mess a little and an incident happens, like on the track, we are driving and a zebra just decides to cross. That is normal. When you talk about safari, I can tell you, like the Elementator stage, you find a very straight section. You are doing full speed. You are seeing gazelles and zebras grazing. They are not moving, but the moment you reach there, that is when they decide to cross. If you hit that zebra at that speed, you will definitely roll. So if you have not secured yourself well, too bad for you.
Well, last year, Takamoto Katsuta, while driving, he went and hit a zebra, and I think the only thing he said was, "Sorry, zebra." So what Andrew is telling you is actually true, and those things actually do happen anytime that we have got these high-speed events. Now, the other one, because you've mentioned about it, and the protection in case you roll.
Yes.
I think in most of our road cars, the impact is on the steering. The steering wheel impact on the chest has caused a lot of fatalities or serious injuries.
Yes.
How do you protect that steering wheel from it, so that it doesn't come straight to you?
The steering that is on the rally car is also not adjustable. See, on a vehicle you can adjust your steering at the position you want. So this one we usually position it way before the most comfortable position that you can drive. If I give you my rally car, you'll really struggle because you'll need to move your seat to a different position, the steering on a different position. So these things are permanently fixed. Our steering is also detachable in a way that there is somewhere I can press and remove my steering. But in case of a roll, you won't get to the steering as I was telling you. You are totally buckled. Then again, you have the roll cage. So with the roll cage, the vehicle will not cave in. So there's no chance of the body squeezing you. The only thing that would probably go wrong on a rally car would be if, say, you go and a branch gets into the windscreen. That is the only thing that we can say would be risky. But in terms of rolling, zero harm.
R.I.P. Craig Breen. Yes, that's how we lost Craig Breen, where a beam went through the window and through the glass, and that was how he got hurt. Now, for you, there is your car, it's ready. The other one that everyone keeps asking is how you manage your tires, because it's specific tires that they use and they're always checked as you leave the service park.
Yes. When you're doing WRC, there's a specific tire that you're supposed to run. These tires are sold by Pirelli, and you are given, there's a barcode for every driver. So I cannot share my tire with you. If I find you and you have a puncture on the track and I give you my tire, it's going to, the moment you fit it on another car, at the office they are going to see. I remember the first WRC, 2021. Those guys used to come to the service park and they tell you, you guys, your pressure is not correct. And you're asking them, how did you know? But on the screen where they are sitting, their computer, they can see car number 66, you have 10 tires, you've put pressure of 43 on this one, 12 on this one. So they were coming to advise us. So we are doing about 1,300 kilometers for the WRC. You need loads of tires. At a minimum, I'll say 12 tires will be enough for someone driving at my level. 16 would be most comfortable, but 12 at a minimum. What we do, we have 4 days of participating. The first section is just the small one at Kasarani, then we drive down to Naivasha. So the first set can be used here, and now on the second day of the event. But every other day, you change all your tires because we are doing 2 loops now. Unlike NRC where guys do one loop. So for this one, I'm sure the tires are going to, the way out is going to be much more. So every day, a new set of tires, hoping that we don't get punctures and tire bursts.
Well, punctures and tire bursts are the main thing. Then we've got the other story, I mean, about actually a lot of, they say every day you learn, is that the rim must go back. How then do you manage, making sure that your rims are there, and at times, you don't get onto a rock and it can be split in two?
If you come, say, to my workshop, you'll find a lot of rally rims. And when you tell someone this rim is bad, they will not understand. But we are driving these cars at very, very high speeds on very bad roads. Safari is known for its bad roads. A section like Sleeping Warrior will finish all your rims. So we usually try to be as careful as possible. We look at the tracks where the P1 drivers have been passing. That is where we try put our tires. Because if you hit those stones, you might go back, but your rims are wobbling and you cannot be competitive again because you need a smooth drive for you to be able to be competitive. So you'll be having something disturbing you and you're wondering what's happening with my car. But it is just a matter of care. You hit a few stones, rims became oblong shaped. Yeah.
Square rims, but I wouldn't want to be in a car like that.
Nenda gari inafanya du 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 du. Yeah.
Yes, because I'm trying to imagine how it would bounce if you just try to roll a domino.
So you just have
that
to
is
be
it.
careful on the track, look for proper lines, and have as smooth as possible event.
Let's talk about the safety gear, the fire suits that you put on, and also the helmet.
Yes.
So let's start with the helmet. What is it that the FIA will ask of you in terms of the helmet, and also how you do connect it for communications?
The helmet is FIA approved. There are a few brands which are FIA approved. That is what we use. You cannot take and do the helmet and come on the track with it.
You won't even get into the service park.
You'll be chased away from very far. You can't pass scrutineering. So if you won't pass scrutineering, you won't participate. So there are brands which are FIA approved. They also have an expiry, as I was telling you. These helmets, they have something we call an intercom. I connect my intercom and my navigator connects his. So we usually talk. It's not just a helmet, kuna headphones ndani and a microphone. So that is how my navigator will go reading notes for me. You know, guys always ask me, mnajuangaje pale kuna kona? Now that is the work of the navigator. He's the one who will be telling me through now the connection that we have using the helmet. Then the suits also, as just like the helmets, they are FIA approved. They are fireproof. We have the suit that you normally see. There is an innerwear, which is also fireproof. There are socks that we usually put on, and gloves for the driver. The navigator doesn't put on gloves because he has to go flapping the pages on the pace notes. So, and the shoes also. We also have FIA shoes which are also fireproof. So in case of fire, we have about 4 or 5 minutes of getting out of the car before your body starts burning. I think you remember the Formula One accident. Where,
yes.
Yeah, and even after the fire was up for some time, the guy just chomoked. So that is the importance of following the safety guidelines. Yeah.
And that brings in something else, is that your extinguishers also must pass a test.
Yes, we have extinguishers. We call them lifeline extinguishers, where in case I notice something, I just pull a small knob. It is going to spray in and out of the car. On the engine bay, on the fuel tank, inside the car, it's going to produce foam. So in case there is fire anywhere, and the way we usually set them, we look at the most risky places, like the turbo is usually very, very, very hot. So we have to put a jet facing the turbo, the fuel lines, the fuel tank. As much as it is safe, you also have to put some extra measures. Then also inside the car, facing the driver and the navigator. So once I pull that thing, it sprays foam all over the car. We also have 2 other handheld extinguishers, one below my legs and another one on the navigator's leg. So for the small issues, let's say I've done a lot of braking and there's fire on my discs, so I can use that. But every time I go back to the service park, I must refill. It must be full. I can't go on track if my extinguishers are not refilled.
Well, there it is. And he's here. He's going to be in the WRC Safari Rally. He's the only indigenous driver entered in the FIA class. There are 29 entries together with Edward Njoroge. They are known as the Morios. They will be competing. Now, working together with Edward from where you are driving alone in tarmac, you've done autocross and rally cross, which is, just driver alone, and making the choice for Edward. How did that come about?
I actually came to know Edward in 2021 as we were preparing for the WRC. I've already secured my spot. I've put on my entry as just the driver only. I didn't know much about navigators, so a friend of mine called Gerald Miner, we call him Captain. the one who told me niko na navigator mzuri, unaweza ukajaribu. So we met with Edu, and as we were driving, we just connected, and I knew this is the right guy. And he was teaching me about the pace notes. We were driving along Kiambu Road, then he will tell me, unaona vile panakaa pale, kwa notes ndakuandikia hiyo ni brow. Hii tunaitanga medium nini, that way. And my first encounter with him, I just knew this is the guy that I want to work with. And since then, I wouldn't want to change my navigator. He's taught me a lot. He's a seasoned navigator. He's been doing navigation for more than 10 years. So he has taught me a lot. His experience has made me become a better driver by so much. Yes.
Getting used to having, someone speaking non-stop over 30 kilometers.
I had no choice. It is a must, and it has, as I said, it has made me a better driver. I was not used to it. Even the tarmac races that we do, mostly you find if we are doing a hill climb, it's usually a 5-kilometer track, or worst case scenario, say 8 kilometers. So here we are talking about one section like Kedong, about 40 kilometers. And let me tell you, if you do not have a navigator, number one, you will get lost. Number two, you will roll. Because he will tell you what you will expect to find. So your mind is more prepared. If he tells you that is a double caution, you don't need to see what the caution is. You just need to slow down. Whoever came with the idea of having a navigator was a genius, because I don't know how we will be surviving on the track without these people.
Okay, so explain just now. Let us talk a bit of technical language, because you've just brought it in.
Yes.
Caution, double caution, triple caution.
Yes.
Those three.
So for every driver, it's different. What I'll probably call a triple caution, Kaltundo will probably call it a single caution, and Rovenpera will not even probably write it on the note. True. So it is when you are doing recce. Recce is what you usually do before the event. You drive around the track and you take notes of the obstacles, the corners, everything. And it is me to tell my navigator, the way I'm seeing this place, you need to point it out that it is a dangerous one. There is a corner and maybe there's a cliff down there, and I feel me na yogopa. So I will tell him, put it as a triple caution, because if I mess a little, we are out. But as I was saying, another driver, probably Rovenpera, will just come flat out and pass that place. So there's nothing we can say that this is a double caution or a triple caution. Just depends on the driver. Yes.
The other one is, rally day. Just take us. Let me just talk about rally week. Yes. It starts for most people. For the rest of us, the safari rally starts on the 27th, when we get to watch Shakedown. Then we get to watch the Kasarani Super Special on 28th through the weekend into Sunday. But for any competitor, it starts on Monday.
It actually starts on Sunday.
On Sunday.
Yes, we usually travel to Naivasha on Sunday. We do the documentation. As much as we've done the entry and everything, now we usually go with the physical copies for them to confirm. Then you pick, you register for recce, where you are going to be given a tracker. It's a tracker we pay for, I can't remember how many euros. You pay for that, and then now install it on your car. It's a bit technical. You need a wiring guy to install it. And then now from there, Monday we start now the recce. We usually do recce on Monday and Tuesday, and then we come to Nairobi and do recce for Kasarani, and then now start the event on Thursday. But now this time I'm doing the shakedown, because now I'm on the WRC category. So I will do the shakedown, and then now recce Kasarani on Thursday in the morning.
Then just how you've taken a look at the loops and what we know. Let's talk about the stages that are there. You can that really are a challenge to any driver. I'll give an example. Let's start with Sleeping Warrior. One driver can go and it's dry, then the rain's poured. Yes. Even the top drivers really had a hard time on, trying to keep their lines.
Yes. Sleeping Warrior is a very tricky stage. It is actually the longest among all the routes that we do. It's usually the longest. It's the longest, followed by Kedong. Coincidentally, every year that we've done safari, in the morning it's usually dry, and in the afternoon it's raining. So the notes that you write during recce when it's dry, they become useless. Other than for the directions, anything else, it becomes useless because whatever was calling fast is no longer fast. Whatever was calling medium is no longer medium. It becomes very muddy, and then at some point it is very rocky. It has the worst rocks. The entire section has the worst rocks that, when you compare with all the other tracks. I'll say it is one of the most challenging, but for me the most challenging has been Hell's Gate.
Explain. I know Hell's Gate. Why? It's rocky.
No, actually Hell's Gate, I say it is the most challenging to me because that is where I've retired twice. It is very loose. What we call fesh, it's crazy. So on the first WRC, we rolled on that section because the surface was too loose. Whatever, as I was saying, the notes that we had written during recce and what we are finding on the ground after those cars have passed there 2 times was totally different. And we were not able to hold the car properly on the track. Second WRC, we had a challenge with the same section. It is usually the last section of the event. We blew our turbo. So the first, from the start of the section, it is a hill, a very, very steep hill. And without the turbo, we couldn't get power to go up. So when we were doing the 3rd year, my navigator, instead of calling it Hell's Gate, he wrote Heaven's Gate. And we were able to finish. So for me, I will say it is the most challenging one. And again, being the last, that is what we usually prepare for full time. When we are discussing, we are always talking about ile Hell's Gate, lazima tujue vile tutadeal nayo. Because if you don't finish Hell's Gate, you don't finish the rally.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, getting through all of this, everyone's talking, looking at the calendars, the safari you want to finish, but you're also doing autocross and rallycross.
Yes.
Just take us through that.
Rallycross is, I can say, is one of the events which have made me become a much better driver, because we usually put head to head. And in the category that I run with probably the best drivers in the country. Baldev Chaga, Tundo, Eric Bengi. So these guys have been running for years. They are multiple time champions, KNRC champions. So when doing rallycross, and as I said, it is a head-to-head, I drive following them. So you can be able to know how to take your corners better. There's a corner, probably the first loop that I did, I was thinking that my car will slide off. But when I see Tundo taking it at full speed, my second loop, I'll do it at full speed. And I'm like, higher, it can handle. So I've learned a lot from it. I can proudly say in front of the TV that on different rallycross events, there's one hit that I've ever beaten Tundo, there's one I've beaten Boldi, there's one I've beaten Bengi. So the improvement is visible. So yeah, I'll keep doing the rallycross with the help of my sponsor, Betika, and now Shell Helix are coming through. We are servicing our cars with their oils, and they are giving us optimum performance. I'm anticipating a good year. There's also the autocross. There's a season, there's a full season for autocross. I've never done a full season.
That's about what, 10 events?
About 10 events. I've been doing staggered ones. I'm planning to do the entire season, if possible. Of course, with the help of Betika and Shell again, my partners. And if I can be consistent on those two and probably 1 or 2 KNRCs, when we come to another safari, I'm sure now I'll be competing with the likes of Tundo without even any fear.
Well, let's see how it goes, because there's also the Equator Rally that's coming later this year. There has been a swap so that the date for the Rwanda Rally will now become the date for the Equator Rally, because there are going to be elections in Rwanda. So there was that swap that was made, and we shall be seeing that. The other one that, you know, everyone's talking about, rallying proper. Autocross is vibrant. Rallycross is vibrant. But it's a rally scene here in Kenya that's just a little bit low. I mean, it's basically, we can't, getting 10 entries has become a miracle act today. What's the wave that you'd like to see it happen?
Actually, there was a rally that was cancelled. I think it had 4 entries, and it is a sad state. And there are a few years ago where you will find even 60 entries.
That was 10 years ago.
That was 10 years ago. And 10 years ago is not a long time ago. It's just the other day. And seeing that decline is really sad, considering we have the biggest rally event in the world, the WRC here, and then our local rally is like dying. It's honestly a sad affair. And I think there are a lot of ways that we can bring back these drivers. One thing that we can agree is that all those cars which were participating 10 years ago, they are somewhere parked. The drivers who used to drive those cars, they are somewhere in the country. And I can tell you from experience, once you have the driving passion, it doesn't go away. So I'm sure these guys, they will want to be back on the track. But how do we bring these people back on the track? My opinion is the federation needs to sit down with the drivers and ask the challenge. And I can maybe give a few suggestions of what I think. When
Maandamano is not one of them.
No, this is not Maandamano. We are
Okay.
peaceful people.
All right.
No, when you look at, say, athletics, and there are some athletics games happening in the country, and we know these are the people representing Kenya. They get a lot of support from government, from sponsors, from all corners. And these sports people, they are paid to be sports people. As in, we need to get to a point where we see sports people making money, whether it is footballers, whether it is athletes like Komanyala, whether it is a rally driver like Kaltundo or Andrew Muirore. They need to be feeling the effect. It is always spending, and nothing coming back. So I was even saying, you see, like this safari, when we look at the news after a few months, we hear that WRC costed Kenya 2 billion shillings. Fair enough. That money has gone to pay suppliers, it has paid maybe the farm owners where the cars are rallying. And I'm thinking, why can't you take a small fraction of that and put it on the drivers? Say, I think we are 7 drivers on the Kenyan drivers on the list, and another maybe 13 from KNRC are going to join. That's about 20 drivers. If you can take a budget from the 20 billion and say every team will get...
2 billion.
Yeah,
less than
2 billion.
Actually, it's about 1.5 billion now.
1.5 billion. If you say you take just a small fraction, say 100 million, and give every team among the 20 teams, give them 5 million each to prepare their car and everything. Then what we get from our sponsors, the Betika and the Shell and any other person, let that be an income for the rally driver. So I have my car ready, I have my accommodation sorted, everything. It is going to motivate guys. When we come to that KNRC and you find there are only 3 entries and these are full 1.5 billion that was spent during the safari, you would have just told guys, kujeni na magari, we have fuel for you. Mafuta peke yake. Guys will show up. When I look at the logistics of doing a rally, say we are doing a rally in Voi, carrying my car, spare parts, accommodation for myself, my mechanics. When you look at all that huge cost, and then nikimaliza event nikuambiwa congratulations, enda nyumbani, people they'll start withdrawing. When you look at a guy like Karan Patel, who did ARC and was the ARC champion, he was representing Kenya.
Yes.
But what support did he get from the country. When we see people going for athletics, wakirudi wanangojeango pale JKIA.
With Mursik. So you want Mursik?
Why not? We need Karana akikuja, anapata mengojewa hapo airport, support from the government, kupeleka gari yake mpaka Zambia, to Rwanda, wapi, and he's going to fly the national flag. But anategemea the sponsors and probably himself.
Yes.
But you're going to represent the country. So at the end of the day, tutasema, hey, he did well for the country, he's our champion, but what support did you give this person? If tunaweza ambao tutakuwa tukibebewa gari and they're taken to Tanzania, we take care of the other costs. You'll see several drivers doing that. We are going to Rwanda. Rwanda is 1,000 kilometers away. The logistics are insane. So a little support from the government, then the rest we are going to push it ourselves.
Aha. Well, talanta hela, pesa mfukoni is what you want.
Yes, that is exactly what we want.
Well, that message has come through. Your car number for the safari?
I was actually hoping to get car number 66. That was the first one that I was given when we did the 2021 WRC. I had a lot of t-shirts, everything was branded 66. Then unfortunately when we went to 2022, we were told that number 1 to 100 will go to WRC category, then 101 going backwards will be for KNRC, so I had to switch. I was given number 107, 109, then 107. I was hoping this time I'll get number 66. I'll try with the federation and see whether they're going to change for me. I loved that number. I was just given randomly, and I associated with it. Even my car still has a number 66 sticker on it. So I will try and see whether it's possible.
So let's see if he will get that. Remember that for him, action starts on the 27th. We'll shake down. Real action starts to shake down in Loldia. Then ceremony will start KICC Kasarani Super Special, which is going to be live on KBC Channel 1. We're going to have the 2 runs of Elementaita on Saturday, and also Hell's Gate 1 and 2. And they decided to rename it Heaven's Gate, so that they can get to the end of it. One of the 7 Kenyan drivers of the 29 who will be in the main division of the WRC Safari Rally from the 28th to the 31st of March. Thank you very much, Andrew, for being with us.
And I'm happy.
Yes, and also, by the way, more stories about Andrew and our local drivers will be coming through. So keep it locked to KBC Channel 1, because the conversations will continue with our crews, especially now at the Toka studio. Now we will go to where the nuts, the bolts, the oil, and the spanners are, so that we can get the real feel of it. Thank you very much, Andrew, and our regards to Edward, and we wish him safari mzuri as he goes out to work. Well, we'll be taking a little break, and during that break, we're going to give you the highlights of the FKF Premier League match between Kenya Police and Muhoroni Youth that was played yesterday. Muhoroni Youth almost giving Kenya Police a shocker. Here are the highlights, and after that, let us talk cricket, wickets, bowling, batting, and all that, and it's all geared towards the African Games that are taking place in Accra, Ghana.
Asante sana Greg Molemi. Uwanja shuti la kwanza likapigwa na mchezaji Charles Auma, likagonga mchuma ule pembezoni tu mwa Morgan Ambuka, mlinda mlango kwa upande wa timu hii ya Muhoroni. Hii ilikuwa nafasi ya kwanza kwake mchezaji Charles Auma kuweza kujitangaza ama kuweza kupata goli kwa manufaa ya Police FC. Hapa limepigwa lakini gonga chuma likarejea uwanjani, alafu mwisho siku ngoma ikawa si ya manufaa kwa upande wa Police FC. Alicheza vizuri kabisa kwa nyuma, mchwari inaletwa kichwa kapigwa hapa lakini mwisho siku hapa ni OG KBC Duncan Otieno aliweza kujifunga mwenyewe dakika ya 19 baada ya mchezaji huyu mwite Samuel Adebowale kuweza kuipiga kona ambayo iliweza kuwanyanyua mashabiki. Tazama mchezo, ametazama mpira ulivyokuja moja kwa moja ukamgonga mchezaji Duncan Otieno, akianzishwa kwa mara ya kwanza na mwalimu Salim Babu, anamfanya mchezaji Patrick Matasi kufadhaika. Tayari ile clean sheet ambayo alikuwa anaitaka ikaenda kando. Duncan Otieno hapa anashindwa kufanya alivyofanya upande wa pili, kumfunga Patrick Matasi mlinda mlango wake, anashindwa kumfunga mchezaji Morgan Ambuka mlinda mlango kwa upande wa Muhoroni. Free header hii, panda juu, piga kichwa, lakini kichwa cha kwake kikaenda mvage kando kabisa ya ile michuma mitatu ambayo imefinywa na kukitwa chini ya ardhi uwanja huu wa Polisi Sako. Hapa ni kutafuta bao la kusawazisha, kitu chingine akapanda Samuel Onyango, lakini mchezaji huyu wa zamani wa klabu ya Gor Mahia anashindwa kuweza kuunganisha mpira kwa majirani zake Muhoroni Youth. Enzi hizo akiwa na Gor Mahia alikuwepo vile vile nyuma yake Abu Domar, lakini hapo unaweza kusema kwamba ilikuwa ni lugha gonga na pande zote mbili. Samuel Onyango alijaribu kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba anatekeleza wajibu wake, lakini mambo yakaenda sege mnege. Lakini tazama hapa, Duncan Otieno tena akapiga shoti la mbali, shoti ambalo on target mbio, lakini Morgan Ambuka akaweza kuliweka kando moja kwa moja. Hii ilikuwa nafasi nyingine nzuri kwa Duncan Otieno ambayo unaweza kusema kwamba alizipata nafasi tatu, moja akajifunga mwenyewe, mbili ameshindwa kumfunga Morgan Ambuka kwa upande wa timu hii ya Polisi FC. Lakini hapo unaweza kusema kwamba kila kitu kilikuwa kinaenda sawa kwa Polisi FC kutafuta goli. Tazama goli lake Clinton Kinanga hapa, mashabiki wakakubali kwamba tumetafuta na tumepata. Kazi nzuri hapa, amepanda juu, nguvu mpya. Clinton Kinanga anafunga goli jingine moja kwa moja ambalo linawarudisha mchezoni vijana wa Polisi FC dhidi ya Muhoroni. Na hapo ni kusema kwa moja mchezo ukakatika, Polisi FC bao moja, Muhoroni Youth bao moja.
Back to Sports Check on this Monday morning. It is the 11th day of March 2024. Remember that it is 16 days and counting to the WRC Safari Rally. We've heard from Andrew Moirore. His navigator Edwin Njoroge couldn't make it, so we would have had quite some heavy conversation. But we are focusing a lot on people who are doing great things for our country, and the African Games going on, and the women's cricket team, they have been in Accra, Ghana. They've played 3 matches. They won against Rwanda, lost to Zimbabwe and Uganda, finished third in their pool, so they didn't make it to today's semi-finals, which will be played at 12:30 p.m. East African time and at 5 p.m. East African time. Ghana 3 hours behind Kenya, so don't think that they're going to be playing that late in the evening. But our men's team, they will be traveling at the end of this week, Friday to be specific, because they are in action on Sunday, Monday and Tuesday, the 17th, the 18th and the 20th. So in studio with me, well, on my immediate left, I've got the vice captain of the men's cricket team, Lucas Ndatterson. Lucas.
Asante sana.
Karibu. And we've got Joseph Angara, who's part of the coaching staff of the team. Josie, good to have you.
Good morning.
Well, the last time Angara was here, he had a quasi passport. He came in here in Botswana colors, but now here he is in the colors that made him, one of those greatest cricketers that we've had in the country. Josie, Angara, getting back to the coaching staff for Kenya now and working with these youngsters. What has been that for you since you came back from Botswana?
Well, I'm actually happy that I got the opportunity once again to work with my country, and it's actually interesting. It's quite good so far, and we're working well with the boys. I'm happy to be back home and, just to do trade for my country.
Lucas, this opportunity for you, when it was announced, for example, we know everyone had their worries here and there about team sport, but getting an opportunity now to go and play some more competitive cricket at national team level, what was it for the boys?
I think the boys are looking forward to these tournaments. They're building, trying to build the team culture. I know the team keeps on changing most of the time. But all in all, everyone is happy to represent their country.
And, well, talking about, representing and, building up to this, you just, give us, what it's been for you. I know there are those who've been playing in the NPCA T20 League and also having to make time to have the conversations and train as a team. Just take us through that.
Yes, we've been having a good program in terms of training. Playing in the national team and playing for the clubs. Some of the boys have had to step up their games, and during the weekends we've been having back-to-back games, and you need a certain level of fitness, and that's where our coach Josie has come in, and he's helped us with the fitness and the mental aspect also of the game.
And let's talk about fitness, because Angara, I think when you were playing, late 90s going into the early 2000s, you had a fitness coach who was, who took you through the paces. Just tell us the lessons that you learned then, because I think all of you admitted that you hadn't been that fit in your life at that point. See, if you hear the story, I mean, what he used to tell them, you go there. If you feel like you want to leave us. We'll just take care of your bye-byes and get back to this. What are the experiences from Coach Mike?
Yeah, it was actually interesting. We had Coach Gay, and he come and told you, guys, run. If you die, we'll bury you. So, I mean, our fitness was so interesting that it was every time we go in, it's like a competition. And that was what made us also to move to another level, because, I mean, cricket is an intense game, so you have to be fit. If you're not fit, that's where you find there's so many injuries that are happening. So we're actually building into this current team now that fitness is actually a key. If you look at the tournaments that you're going to play, the T20, fitness and fielding, better teams are winning them. 70% of the teams win because of that.
What's the process of taking them through this so that, because the fitness part of it is what no athlete loves?
They don't do it, but I mean, they don't love it, but they have no choice but to do it. Because, I mean, like Lucas, he's a bowling all-rounder. He has to bowl, he has to come and bat. So what does that require? It's fitness. The key things that people do. There are those who know it's we actually we do mostly like with the batters. We work more on speed and strength. The bowlers work more on endurance. Yeah.
And Lucas, for you as a bowler, one of the things that you would see, bowlers, the difference is that the spin bowlers they're more quick in the transition as they go through anytime they go through their over. But for you, is that you've got to walk back a distance after running in. So how do you manage that to ensure that you don't cause harm to your body? Pulling muscles?
I think it all comes with also preparations, fitness, as he's spoken about. So we do a lot of endurance. We do a lot of gym. You need to recover also well. You need to rest. You need to avoid certain things. So that is what keeps us going. And our run-up is long, so you need also to be, to be more fitter, right, than the spinners, to be able to bowl within a stipulated amount of time. So we're always given roughly 4 minutes to finish our overs and move to the other fielding positions.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, 6 deliveries in. And then got to be done in 4 minutes. It's not anything that everyone would like. Preparation now in terms, their mental strength and working on the cause of the game, which is fielding, batting, and bowling. We'll be talking about that given, the previous results that they have had. We take a short break. We'll be back with Joseph Angara and Lucas Ntares.
Ili kupata msubiri Mungu kama sikiza tune yako, bonyeza *812 *501#.
Kijana kanipigia simu, amejawa na huzuni, amefadhaika yuhoi. Nikamuuliza kunani? Japo nimetia jitihada za mtu wa kujenga nyumba kwa mate, nikaongeza kumcha Mungu, sifanikiwi. Naishi kama lofa mlala hoi, kabwela wa madongo.
Kupata msubiri Mungu kama sikiza tune, bonyeza *812 *501#. *812 *501#.
I want us today to tackle the word ender. Are we together?
Yes.
When I say ender, I mean ender.
Juice. He looks like he needs the juice.
Kuna ya UK wa ambao sasa hii wa ambao
Inaitangwa Ohio.
Ohio wewe na wewe. Ohio ni nini?
Si Ohio,
Ohio.
Na Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania.
Then your IQ is not functioning.
Sitagi sina na sitagi. Open your eyes. Buju.
Kizungu yake ni ya kuongea kwa mdomo. Hana haifiki kwa mfuko yake.
Na silisikiage kwambia atakupeleka Dubai.
Labda nipeleke hapa Isili.
You look very smart.
Hapana, hii imesonewa hapo Katonzweni, hapo tu sokoni.
Hii ni yako.
Umenipatia tu.
Hiyo ufanya nayo ile kitu wewe unataka. It is rumbling you.
And welcome back to Sports Check on this Monday morning, the 11th day of March 2024. Well, it is the day that we're celebrating plumbers all around the world. So if you know your plumber, send him a shout out. It's the day to celebrate them. Well, our sign language interpreter this time is Anwangeshi, so she's joining us now. So throughout the next hour, we continue our conversation with cricket. And Kenya's cricket teams were entered for the African Games that are taking place in Accra, Ghana, and they're playing at the Achimota Oval that has got 2 grounds. So quite interesting that you can have 2 matches running concurrently at the same venue, something that we really would love to see. So Kenya's women, they finished 3rd in their group after playing against Zimbabwe, Uganda and Rwanda. The semi-finals for the women's competition are today. The men's team travels on Friday the 15th and they will be in action. And the 3 matches that they are going to play is that on the 17th they play against our rivals Uganda. On the 18th of March they play against South Africa. South Africa will be sending the Proteas, but still a challenge is only offering for them, and then face host Ghana on the 20th of March. So that is the match schedule that they have. And in studio on my far left, we've got Coach Joseph Angara, and we've got the Vice Captain Lucas Nanderson, who's on my immediate left. So let's now talk about the past results, Lucas, because you've been at the thick of it. And let's start with the ACA Africa T20 Cup and how it all went for you. And I know before that, you had the East-West Cup also taking place, but start with the Africa Cricket Association Cup, where, eventually you lost to Uganda by 91 runs. But what was that experience?
African Cup was good, and it always happens yearly. So what the tournament's all about is they always try to make the West and other small countries to also have a feel of what it takes to compete. So we had teams like Sierra Leone playing us, Cameroon, Malawi, and now those were the group stages for the qualifiers before we went to the to the main event where we played Uganda, we played Botswana, and so we played well. And we got these other teams, small teams, to learn from us and to see the levels of cricket. But now when we came to Uganda, you know, I think they outsmarted us, and that is where we found a bit of competition when we played the finals against them.
Well, we'll be coming and speak about Uganda and what they've got to offer. Angara, your review of what you'd see, you know, for example, like the East West Africa Cup. At times you'd say it's a mismatch. For example, when you play against Kenya plays against Cameroon, 48 all out. Then Lucas, the opening batsman, done in 5 overs. Actually in 3 overs, 50 runs in 3 overs. Play against Sierra Leone, beat them quite easily. Mali, you are okay. I'll come back to you about Mali because I want to understand how you bowled for 18 overs, but they batted for 2. We'll come to that. What is it that you see when you play against such sides?
Well, their standards are still low. But you know, when you go to such kind of competition, you can't underrate anyone. Teams are actually investing on players coming from, you see now, majority of the teams are investing on foreign resident players who are playing there. And that is, I think, if you look at Uganda, that's why they're stepping up in the game and they're playing more matches. And you look at Nakarani and Riyazat Ali, they've actually won 8 out of 10 games for Uganda.
What's the difference here, you know, with the local players? You know, we can talk about them. Lucas, Shem, Rakeb, Gerald, the entire squad. What makes it different? Because we are all local based, and at times turns out to be an oddity. Because even when you play, for example, Nigeria, they bring in people from the UK. What works for the locals?
I think we just decided to stick with our own. Our local league is strong enough, and we have got strong, experienced players like Lucas, Shem, Rakeb, and Rakeb's injury was actually a blow to our team when we went for the Africa Cup because of that injury could not heal in time. But I think our players are still good enough. We just need to be more consistent with what we do.
Now, Lucas, Mali, how did you let them stay there for 18 overs? I know you bowled them out for 39. But 18 overs is quite a story. Just take us through that, that game, because everyone seems to have a you'll have a memory of that game.
Yeah, you see, the conditions were favoring the team that was batting. So, yes, they were not scoring, but they were just there, missing balls, doing their own things, but it's part of the game. You cannot underestimate anyone. Once you are in the pitch, you are equal to your competitor. Anyone can win, anyone can lose. So maybe that was that was how they stayed there.
Now let's talk about the conditions that you'll be playing in Accra. Number one, it's playing at the coast, and so as we talk about that, just give us, the feedback that you're getting from the women's team about the Achimota Oval.
Well, I had a chat with Coach Francis Otieno, who's the coach for the ladies, and actually said the wickets are slow, the outfield is a bit thick, so the ball is not going. So we actually adjusting ourselves to those kind of conditions. The wickets are going to be slow. So we just have to quickly adjust and make ourselves move.
Okay, so let us speak common English. A slow wicket, a fast wicket.
So basically, when the wicket is slow, if you're bowling the ball, it's not coming with the merit, yeah? So it's a bit, the pace is being taken by the wicket. It's the pitch. And it gives more advantage to the spinners because they tend to turn the ball more. You wanna swing your way through, but it's not coming on, So mostly what happens are the scores are normally very low, and now you have to adjust as fast as you can. You cannot hit the ball straight. You have to hit now more square. You have to be innovative and more aerial. And that is what makes people like Rakeb effective in the team, because they tend to adjust more. They tend to adapt quickly. Like Rakeb, Collins, and other guys who are who normally don't play with the hands that are hard, you know. So in simplest term, I think that is how I can explain it.
Well, very important to know such that it's basically, it is the equivalent of the ball landing on a damp place.
Somewhat like that, yeah. So you want to swing early, but it takes a bit of time to come. Yeah, so you find yourself not hitting it from where you tended to hit it. So that is those are the challenges that do happen.
The opponents that you'll be facing, let's start with Uganda. You mentioned about them coming in, and I also wanted, you know, because you've played a lot with Uganda over the last few years. There's the T20 World Cup, there was a T20 World Cup qualifiers. Somehow you always find a reason to go across the border, and then the Africa Cup. What has Uganda's strengths in such conditions? Where would you find them? How would you help your team adjust to this?
I think our spinners will have to come in much effective because once you have such kind of slow wickets, you tend to use your spinners more than your pace bowlers. But I think it's going to be same for all the teams that are going to participating. And as I said earlier, it's which the team that has just quickly to such kind of conditions will come up better.
Okay, your spin bowling options here in this case?
Yeah, Rakeb is back. We picked Arnav Patel, who's really bowled well in the NPCL League. He's actually in the top 5. We got Vishal Patel, who's former past under-19 captain in Tanzania. They've done well, so that's our spinner. Mugabe has started bowling well, so we have options.
Now let's talk about pace bowling for you and how you want to. How you'd want to attack a batsman. And that's where you are the likes. You know, for you and I think Gerald will come in hot.
So you know, in such conditions, you have to use your variations well. So first, you have to read through the batter, the guy who's coming into bat, see his intentions, see how he's holding the bat, communicate around, and then you come and bowl with a plan. So for instance, if you say your plan is to bowl it short to him, he can play short of the pitch, then let him hit you from there. But you went with the team's plan. If you're bowling outside so that he can't reach for the ball, you can do that. If the batter is strong enough, he's hitting it well, you come and slow it down for him so that he gets a miss time of the ball, then well and good. It's a team's plan. So we go through all that in the field, the captain, the other senior players. Sometimes we come around, have a chat to slow down the game a bit. So that's our plan.
Okay. Now the other one is that you mentioned about, you know, a slow outfield. It's very thick. There's a lot of thick grass. That means that if the ball lands, it can't run fast. So how do you get Rakeb and Lucas here to keep thinking about the fielding positions depending on the batsman who's there, Joseph?
Sometimes you go and look at the team that you're playing. You're batting fast. You're looking at the target. Might have a target in mind that, okay, this kind of slow wickets, we have to take ones and twos, run hard between the wickets because of the slow outfield. I mean, hitting boundaries, especially fours, will not be easy. So tend to look at the combination of the team, who's a pinch hitter who can clear the boundary. So those are some of the options that we have.
And when you're the fielding side,
yeah, where
you got where Lucas, because you know cricket is a sport where the captain is now the boss. Once you're inside that oval,
yeah,
how do you manage fielding positions in such a place, Lucas?
We always have an agreement, and we talk with the wicket keeper because he's at a better angle to look at the angles of the field. So what we do is we tell him to look at that guy if he's in the right position, and then you try and restrict the team to score boundaries. So you reduce the boundaries from them, and then so once you do that, then the opposition starts to to panic. So that's what we do in the game.
A review of the opponents that you have, Lucas. Your lessons learned from the November, December time that you played, all the matches that you played with Uganda. What have you seen? What is it that you would want to correct as a side?
We need to work. We need to work in our batting, especially the middle order, and that is what Uganda has been doing well. Like we pin them down, and then at some point they just take it away from us. So, and that is where Dinesh Nakrani and Riazat do come in. So they always reserve them for that special, role in the team, and they've done it very well. And anytime they don't do that, they don't play that role, we always get them. Yeah.
South Africa, I know they wouldn't be sending Quinton de Kock. But expect a strong side from them. What's it that you found from the probable A side that is going to Accra?
Well, South Africa cricket has always been competitive and hard enough. I'm sure a majority of them, either you'll find the A-side players who've been brought in, and those are the actually people who really want to make a mark for them to be seen. And sometimes you might even be better playing de Kock and them rather than playing these youngsters who are coming up, because they're more hungry, ready and willing. But I know they're going to be competitive. We played some of the district sides or A-sides before, and we expect tougher positions, but we're ready for them.
Well, you had the opportunity to be their neighbor for quite some time. What's a brand of cricket that they have right now that you try and want to see it rubbing off probably to the current Kenyan side?
Well, South Africa is a test-playing country, and their structure is actually more stronger than us. And if you look at, they're playing much more cricket than us, and they have so many competitions also. So I'm sure they're coming to prove a point. As I said, they're coming to prove a point, and they want to win. They want to win. So we also just, I know they're coming to try and get, anytime they're playing, I think they're going to bet first to get a team out very quickly. Get more runs, then they come and bowl you out. But I'm sure Lucas is very ready for them and looking forward.
Yeah, if I may come into that, yes, they're a strong side, but, conditions do matter. Slow wickets, they play in quick wickets, so they may have a bit of challenge in Ghana. They like pace coming on. Maybe some of the guys there, maybe you'll find maybe maximum 5 people who are quick and will bowl to their, to their favor. But if you get these guys who are not bowling quick, I feel like they'll tend to struggle with the conditions there. Yeah.
Yeah, they used to fast wickets rather than not what you're
bouncing
going to face.
wickets and fast. And the wickets they are being used now, they're getting slower and they're cracking, so it's going to be a challenge for them.
Ghana, how would you describe them?
We've never lost to Ghana before, but them being at home, we're not going to take them for granted. We get an opportunity, we also want to clear them out first.
The way the competition has been structured is you must win 2 games if you want to be in the final.
Yes.
Which are the 2 games that we should count, we would probably want to see in the bag? Quick. Lucas.
We're looking to win against Uganda and Ghana. And South Africa will manage them though, so we're not stressed about them.
All right. We would like to see you as a team sport get a medal eventually. You can join the ranks of hockey. You can join the ranks of volleyball as a team sport, having won medals at the African Games. We really want to see that. All right. Thank you very much. All the best. And as you prepare, I know they're going to get into camp. Safe skies for you as you travel to Accra.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Joseph Angara and Lucas Ndadeson, vice captain and coach of the men's cricket team as they head to the African Games. So we'll keep tabs on their competition and keep you informed through our news bulletins. We'll be taking a short break, and when we come back, let's talk about athletics for good. Think of somebody who set up a place where girls who are facing FGM or gender-based violence find a safe haven, and they get to participate in athletics and can compete even at the national level. Robert Taruni is going to be joining us. But before that, the highlights of the FKF Premier League match between Kariobangi Sharks and Posta Rangers.
Kariobangi Sharks dhidi ya Posta Rangers. Timu hizi mbili zilikuwa zinajua kwamba kila mmoja anakuja hapa kuweza kuzitafuta alama tatu. David Mulongo, refari wa katikati ya uwanja, akapuliza kipenga ilikuwa ni kutafuta bola mapema kwa vijana hawa. Kazi nzuri kaleta hapa, lakini mlinda mlango mwita Kevin Opio kwa upande wa Posta Rangers akasimama kwa uimara mkubwa kabisa, akauweka mpira nje, mpira ambao moja kwa moja unaweza kusema ulimwacha kwa maumivu, lakini hapa ni nafasi ya kwanza kabisa John Makwata alikuwa ameipata kwenye mchezo huu. Pasi nzuri kabisa kutoka kwake Fortune Omoto, lakini mchezaji Makwata akaweza kushikwa na kigugumizi cha miguu. Fortune Omoto pale katikati tena, Makwata akawahi mpira pembezoni kule vizuri kwa Kellen Levitt Otieno, cross ikaletwa, Onyango akaiweka pale kawapisha wachezaji wawili, lakini Julius Masaba dakika to ya 15 ya mchezo akainyanyua bendera hapa ya Kariobangi Sharks, akawanyanyua mashabiki wa Kariobangi Sharks. Hapa mishale kawekwa, tazama ngome ilivyopelekwa pembezoni kulia, letwa cross nzuri, Geoffrey Onyango kapiga cutback nyingine pale, Makwata kaukosa mpira, lakini ukiangalia hapo walikuwa wachezaji watatu pale kwenye kiungo kwenye safu ya shambuliaji, mwisho wa siku akaweza kusukuma mpira kimiani mchezaji Julius Masaba akifunga bola lake la pili msimu huu. Cross nyingine moja kwa moja vile vile, Geoffrey kwa kichwa, Keith Mbala kaituliza, Masaba kaiwahi akageuka, Keith Mbala kisigino, Masaba akapiga shuti hapa, lakini lingekuwa goli zuri sana kwa Kariobangi Sharks, ingekuwa simlina mlango Calvin Opio. Kazi nzuri amefanya Calvin Opio, alipiga vizuri, lakini Calvin Opio akaweza kuhakikisha kwamba anapiga mbezi sehemu sahihi, sehemu ambayo ilikuwa inastahili. Lakini kipindi cha kwanza kwa tiki kama ni 1-0, kipindi cha pili karejea John Makwata akaitanguliza vizuri tena kwake Julius Masaba akamuona shakuja Calvin Opio, akaweza kuchip ule mpira akafunga bola pili upande wa Kariobangi Sharks. Dakika 48 tu ama dakika 3 baada ya kipindi cha pili kuanza, kitu ambacho moja kwa moja kiliweza kuwazubaisha vijana wa Posta Rangers. Hapa moja kwa moja unaweza kusema kwamba walitajilaumu wenyewe walinzi wa Posta Rangers, watajilaumu wenyewe walinzi wa Posta Rangers, na ni kitu ambacho hapa Julius Masaba atakuwa nakiweka kwenye kumbukumbu nzuri kabisa kuweza kupachika magoli mawili dhidi ya Posta Rangers. Haikuishia hapo, wakaendelea kutafuta magoli. Tazame vizuri kabisa hapa, Leon Levitt Otieno akaisukuma ikanyanyuliwa vizuri na Omoto, akamuona hapa mchezaji John Makwata akaweza kufunga bao lake la kwanza hapa kwenye mchezo huu, zaidi ya bao la tatu kwa upande wa Kariobangi Sharks. Tazame hapa mchezaji Leon Levitt Otieno, kazi aliyofanya, lakini mwisho pia uweze kumpatia maua yake Fortune Omoto. Yeye aliweza kuinua ule mpira na moja kwa moja akapiga volley. Mchezaji huyo mwite John Makwata, mali ya zamani ya AFC Leopards, kabla ya kuelekea Zambia na kabla ya kuelekea meleka Botswana kuelekea kule. Masaba kwa mara nyingine tena akamwona Makwata, Masaba tena akafanya kila kitu Masaba, lakini kazi ya kumalizia mara hii ikawa kwake Leon Levitt Otieno. Dakika 64, bao la 4 kwa upande wa timu hii ya Kariobangi Sharks. Hapo nasema kwamba walipata yule paka ambaye tayari alikuwa shakufa, paka ambaye alikuwa shama, panya ambaye alikuwa shakufa, panya ambaye ameoza tena, kanuki wanamshika tu kwa mkono. Kazi nzuri ya Masaba kushikwa, lakini akaenda chini, lakini kwenda kwake chini akaweza kutamariza ule mpira, lakini mwisho wa siku Leon Levitt akaweza kufunga. Tazama hapa kazi nyingine nzuri kabisa yake mchezaji Fortune Omoto. Madefender wa Posta Rangers hapa watajilaumu sana. Kazi nzuri, mchezo mzuri ameufanya mchezaji Omoto, lakini mwisho wa siku anajiweka mahali pazuri kwa kuweza kufunga bao la 5 kwa upande wa Kariobangi Sharks. Angalia pasi nzuri hapa yake Julius Masaba, angalia alivyotoka Fortune Omoto, akamwona Calvin Opio alivyokuwa amekuja, lakini yeye kitu kikubwa kabisa la kufutia machozi kuweza kuwapatia bao vijana hawa wa Posta Rangers. Kilichofanyika angalau mwaka na siku kama magoli 5-1 ndicho kitu ambacho kinafanyika siku hii ya leo. Bao hili la kuweza kufutia machozi kwa upande wa timu hii ya Posta Rangers ya kama watajilaumu mwenyewe, alipigwa 4-0 na Gor Mahia, hapa anapigwa 5-1 na Kariobangi Sharks.
And welcome back. Those were the highlights of the FKF Premier League match between Kariobangi Sharks and Posta Rangers. One of the shock results that happened over the weekend, and that match was live on KBC Channel 1. And remember that the FKF Premier League, it's taken a break and will be back on the 6th of April. But remember that on the 7th of April, KBC Channel 1 will be broadcasting to you a double header. At 1 p.m. and at 4 p.m., the matches will be live from the Kenyatta Stadium in Machakos. So keep that in your diary as far as local football is concerned. Well, let's now move on to a different conversation right here on Sports Check. And before I get into it, let me remind you, our sign language interpreter is Anne Wangeshi within this hour. Well, way back in 2000, Saruni started what is the Magnolia Athletic Camp. And the whole story was help girls who have been forced, say, through FGM and gender-based violence, give them a safe haven, and they can use their athletic talent to move forward with life and also get an education. Robert Saruni, welcome, and thank you for giving us your time this morning.
Thank you.
I can tell you that he is doing it, and his camp is not based in Nairobi. It is based in Oloitoktok, and that is in Kajiado County. That is close. Basically, we're talking about the border of Kenya and Tanzania.
Sure, it is at the border.
No.
Yeah.
All right. So let's just start with the background of this and the project that you started 4 years ago. What inspired you to do this?
All right. First, we run an organization called Rainbow of Magnolia Fountains of Life. And this organization is the main organization that will rescue girls from FGM and GBV. And we have a center in Loitoktok in Kimana Division. So we have so many girls actually in the program, from those who are in universities, colleges, high school, primary. But in 2020, during the COVID pandemic, when all the kids were home, that's when we started with the running thing, because we saw that we were looking for ways to keep the girls busy. And when you have so many teenagers at one place, it gets to be hectic. You need to find things to make them busy. And we found out they love running, some of them. So that is how it started back in 2020.
And what was the experience knowing that the kind of restrictions that were there? Kimana, I know I wouldn't consider it. I never see a rural setting and an urban setting from the same lens. What was it? How were you able to manage and navigate that?
It was tough, I'll say, because with everything that has been shut down, no schools, you cannot go anywhere. You have to keep them in. You have to keep them busy. You have to feed them. And fortunately for us, Kimana is an agricultural area. So at the center, we have a farm. So we were trying to navigate around it. And we made it through. Unfortunately, no girl fell sick or anything, so we thank God for that.
Can we now talk about, identifying those who are running away from FGM and GBV? I know we've done a lot of stories from the human interest perspective here as KBC, but just give us the real picture as a person who's on the ground and how you now get to identify a girl and make sure that you don't get into. At times, the community can raise trouble.
It does. Especially when we started, it is based in the Maasai community, and this is a culture that is ongoing. Up to now, it is ongoing. Even if the government is saying that it is illegal, but still the community still practice it because it is our tradition. It is our culture, and it is really hard to break it. So we usually know the kind of months where they have all these ceremonies. And because the government is really trying to curb the tradition and to stop it, they are trying to do it secretively. But how our camp came to be, especially the rescue center, we did not find the girls, they found us. What I was doing in the beginning, I was building a center that will take care of the abandoned babies, the small ones, the toddlers. But in 2015, some girls, They were running from this ritual, and they just found an unfinished building, and they decided to hide there. In the morning, I find them. That is how they changed the whole vision of Rainbow of Magnolia into rescuing girls.
For them, what was the next step that you had to do? Because one of the things is, if you're found with a, living with a minor, the whole administrative setup, would not be very friendly with you.
What we do in Magnolia, we work closely with the administration. Especially we start with the local area chief, and then from there we go to the Ministry of Children and Gender in Loitoktok. We engage them, and then from there we try to look for ways to neutralize the threat, because at times goes by you come to understand that it is not good to keep the children in a rescue center for a long time. It's like you're separating them from their families. So at first, you use all the legal means to make sure it is known that this girl is here, and you are the one taking care of. You are certified to do it, and you have all the mechanism in place to help the girls. Yeah.
Using sport now, and tell me how this ones came in, and you start with 4, and suddenly it's becoming an athletics camp.
It is. And it is funny because the girl that we started with, she was really young. And I'll say that they got their motivation from our main donor, who is also my co-founder with Rainbow of Magnolia. That guy is crazy with running. He ran marathon as a hobby, and every time he comes to Kenya, he's from America, he likes running. So during the pandemic, it found him here. So he was running with the girls, and that is
he
how
couldn't basically leave the country because of flight restrictions.
He couldn't leave the country. So he stayed with the girls. And that is when they started training with him every morning, the small kids. And afterwards, we came to realize they love it. And since it is a new thing, especially in Maasai land, for girls to participate in athletic, as you have seen, we don't have any Maasai champion, a female one. We have male, but no females. There are several things that prevent them from getting to that level. So we started slowly with 4, and because Magnolia, we try to take girls not only from the Ma community. In where we live in Kimana, it's like a small metropolitan town. So we have girls from other communities, and we started taking them in. Those who we are rescuing them from GBV, we try to take them in. And we have Wahome girls who are born with an athletic talent.
Yes.
And we have those whom we are training them because they love the sport. So that is how it started growing. Yeah. So
then, with time, as it is, if you put them in a rescue center, you work with the government, one of the things that you'll have to do is to put them through school.
Yeah.
Some may be in grade school, as it is now. Others may be in junior secondary school, others tertiary institutions. Let's start with those in grade school. How do you keep them, monitor them and also work with their teachers?
All our girls are in boarding schools. So for athletes, we keep them in a primary school called DEB Primary School in Loitoktok. We chose that location because of the altitude and the whole setup for running. It is really close to the border. There are hills, there are forests, there is a good place for training.
And Kilimanjaro in the background.
And Kilimanjaro in the background. And then for those who are in high school, we keep them in AIC Girls Secondary School. It's just next door to DEB. So they are all in school, but in boarding school. For the rest of the girls, they are spread around across the country.
Wow, what a story that you can make it, make things happen locally. And eventually, once they start running, you start entering them for competitions. They will enter through the primary school sports association, the secondary school sports association. What has been the success story when it comes to competitions? It has been good, especially in school competitions, because for one, when we saw that the girls are really interested and the number is growing,
we had to engage professionals. We have coaches who are training them, and they are trained coach. And I can say that we've been having help from the Athletic Kenya fraternity. For example, the head coach of the Kenya police team, Isaac Kirwa, has been really helpful. He came there to visit. He loved the place. He came with one coach who has been helping us. His name is Andrew Lesuda. And they have been training the girls. And in primary school competitions, the girls scoops everything. In high school is where we have many girls. For example, last year, we took the sub-county, 100 meters, 200, 400, 800, 1,500, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, and cross-country.
That's a sweep of everything
completely.
that is running. So it's only field events where you...
And for the first time, Kajiado County went up to the region level, to the finals. That is in high school games. It has never reached there. And in primary school, we have several girls who have gone up to national level in 100 meters and 200 meters. And they are young. We are talking about 14, 15, 16 years. And they are doing great.
The main thing now is the AK come in, they bring in, they bring Isaac Kirwa, they bring in Lesuda. What's the input that you're seeing them, give such that even when they come back to Nairobi, taking care of their, normal duties, they're able to produce some great things. They're able to leave results there. Okay,
for one, we started by exposing our young girls by bringing them to any AK meets. For example, they have traveled to Bomet, they have gone to Iten, they have gone to Eldoret, they have gone to Mombasa for cross-country. We've tried to take them all around to expose them. They have met with the big athletes. I remember we took them to the Sirikwa Classic, they met with Faith, and they met with Murad, they met with the other girls, the champions. They give them a word of motivation. And this kind of motivate them. And then when they knew who is the like of Isaac Kirwa and what they are doing, when they came to visit the girls in the camp and also in school, because they even come up to where they are schooling, they motivated them. And most of the time, they do come, especially in the weekend. We have our coach Andrew, whom has agreed to be coming and training them. And as now we are speaking, like this year and last year, they have been participating in the track and field games. Trials, the meets in Nyayo Stadium, in the Langata Sports Complex. And the girls are doing great. Yeah.
Looking at it, where do you want, the kind of support that you'd want from AK, such that, because we are living in an era where safeguarding is a very big issue.
True.
What's the support you want from AK?
Number one, Magnolia Athletic Camp is not yet registered. We are hoping to register it with AK. And I've been speaking with Mr. Barnabas Corril, who has been very helpful. Actually, he was supposed to send some people last week to come and see what we are doing. And Wahome, right now we are building, apart from the rescue center, we are building a real training camp in Loitoktok. Right now the setup, we are building the gym, we are building the dormitory, we are doing a speed track of around 80 meters. Hopefully we'll do the tartan in the couple of months to come. So we are trying to build a very professional camp. So we need help from AK. Number one, we need the camp to be registered. Number two, we need them to be visiting us, to be supporting Kajiado County, to be supporting this camp so that it can bring in more athletes across the country, young girls who don't have a place to train, because it is hard to access all the other big camps. So we want to be that small camp that will raise talent from grassroots up to championship level.
Very, very well. Well, the other one is we are headed into the schools cross-country. This is first term games.
Yeah.
What's the learning lessons from last year that you want to bring into this year? And also, we head to the term 2 games where you've got now the real track and field events.
Thank you. Last year we learned several lessons. For example, the girls didn't know how to work under pressure. Back in Loitoktok, they knew they are the champions. There was no competition there. But once we reached the regional level, which was held in Eldoret, they met other girls who are runners, and they were really challenged. So when they came back, they did a lot of training. And I'm proud to say that we've already started the competitions, the high school competitions. They have already done the zonals. Last week, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, they were in Kajiado for the counties. And again, they scooped everything. So this week, from Thursday, they'll be in Bomet for the regionals. And I believe they are well prepared to sail through to the national level. And especially we are trying to raise sprinters, because as you are aware, middle distance and long distances in Kenya, it is top. But sprinting, we're still struggling there.
Well, and talking about sprinters, we've had some great stories coming in from the Ma community. I mean, we can talk about Billy Conchela, we can talk about David Rudisha, and Wycliffe Kinyamal now. So there's real stories you can tell. Thank you very much, Robert Saruni.
Thank you.
He is the CEO of the Magnolia Athletics Camp, doing athletics for good. Girls who have been rescued from FGM and GBV, they've been given a second chance for an education and also to showcase their athletics talents. Thank you very much, Bwana Saruni.
Thank you.
All right. So as we continue, let's get into the final session of today's interview. And we are talking about chukball. Now, chukball is a sport that was founded by a Swiss medic. He said he doesn't want a contact sport, anybody, where there's contact or anything, where you don't intercept the ball. But he created a net such that when you pick the ball and you try throw it, the sound that comes from that is chuk. So he named the sport after a sound. And we've got the Secretary General of the International Chukball Federation, Mr. Clement, joining us. And also we have got Caroline Daiga, who is with the local Chukball Federation. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning, Wahome.
All right. Well, it's a pleasure to have you today. And let me start with you, Clement, and let's talk about, the mission that you have had here for the last 5 days, offering coaching courses and also bringing out the latest in terms of chukball regulations for the local scene. What has been the story for the last 5 days?
Okay. I'm the secretary of International Chukball Federation. I'm Clement Lee, and I'm from Taiwan. And we've been here in Kenya for 5 days. And then we visit 5 elementary schools around Nairobi. And then we introduced chukball to the school principal and the head teacher over there. And then we also came here to Kenya to assist Kenya Chukball Federation to host Africa Chukball Championship 2024 on August in Nairobi City. So we also came here to train the coaches for 3 days already from now. And there are 30 of them already certified international coach license. So we hope those coaches can spread around the nation to teach chukball in the school or in the club and to make the Kenya sport more stronger in the future.
Caroline, let me come to you. And what has been the experience with the president of Chukball, the secretary general here, and the coaching staff that they've brought? What have you learned over the last 5 days?
Actually, their experience has been amazing. During the first day, we took them to school visits, where we did a visit at Highway School, a school that's playing Chukball. We went to Rockside Academy, we went to Good Testimony School, we went to Gidunguri Primary, we went to Kiparo Primary. So they were impressed with the kind of job that we are doing so far, and they're ready to support. They've supported the schools with frames, they've supported the schools with balls, and actually the training they're doing is more for school teachers, which will help the game grow even more. And also, above all, they've been able to meet different officials from the county government, where we met the Chief of Sports, Mr. Oscar, the Director as well, Madam Nines, and Assistant Director Catherine, and the reception was amazing. We also met officials under the Ministry of Sports, Mr. Joel Atuti, who is our liaison officer, and also we met the director, Madam Beth Omalwa, and then so far they're saying the experience is amazing.
Yes, and people are nice here, and kids in the school, they are all welcoming us, and I can see the kids here is excited. They're exciting to play the chukbo. So we are very happy to be here to teach them.
Very good. Now, Clement, let me come to you. And, you mentioned about Africa hosting the Chukball African Championships. So in the conversations that you've had, if I was to pick Chukball from its pure form, it would be an indoor sport. But maybe you could tell us, what you're looking at in terms of support for Kenya to host this and the collaborations with the government that can work for the tournament.
Okay, as a FITB Federation, this time we bring 6 chukbo friends, and 16 chukbo balls to here. So we like to give all those material, those equipments to Kenya, so they can spread to play chukbo. And we also go to see the stadium and the venue to host Africa Chukbo Championship. And we hope we will find a good stadium and venue to host it. And we also come here to help the the Kenya Chukbo Federation to assist them how to host a better championship in August. We hope it will be a successful championship that happened in Kenya.
Okay, and now, Caroline, let's talk about Kenya hosting this, the African Championships, the plans that from the Kenyan side that you want to have in place.
Yes. We are going to look at the indoors at Kasarani and also near stadium, and we are also looking at hosting the event at Sarai Boys. So we are looking at the best option for us to host the event. We are waiting for them to confirm the best venue.
And looking at it from the African Caroline and also the SG, the number of participating nations that you're looking at in August for the African Championship?
I didn't get well, sorry.
So looking at the number of participating countries for the African Football Championships in August?
So far we have 21 countries in Africa playing football. We are hoping that we can get all of them to Kenya.
All right. For SG, one of the things is that this progress, when you have an African Championship 2024, you'd like to have the World Championship or the age grade championship next year. What's the plan and the message that you want to give to, Chukball Kenya, such that they can have a team ready for 2025? SG, that one is for you, Secretary General.
Sorry, I didn't hear the question. Sorry.
You didn't hear the question. Let me repeat the question. About, we are talking about the youth championship that is coming up, what you would like to see, especially for Kenya and Africa, so that we can have a competitive team for next year.
Yeah, for next year, we like to host the World Beach Chukball Championship. So actually, Chukball we can play in the beach, and it's very fun, more than the play in the glass or in the ground. And for the youth, we are looking forward to have a championship for youth. Yes, the youth is your future, because when they learn the chukball in a young age, and they develop more, and they love more in chukballs, and they been teach the educational way in playing chukball, because chukball they have no body contact, and they need to be light to the opponent team when they have shoots, and then the ball rebound from the net to the other team. So if they hit their body, we also say sorry to them, but we get the point. So it's very educational part. After the event, we also a good friend. We go to a gala dinner together. We dance together after the event.
All right. And Caroline, as we close this interview, what are the activities that we are going to have for Chukball, such that we have an active team in Kenya ahead of the African Championships?
So far, with the coaches that have trained, each coach is supposed to go back home, because we have coaches from around Kenya, different counties. We want them to go and prepare teams. Then in June, we are going to have a championship where we are going to do a team selection for the national team.
All right. Thank you very much, Caroline Githaiga. She's from Chukball, Kenya, and Mr. Clement, Secretary General of the FITB, the International Chukball Federation. And I hope they've taught you some Swahili. Asante sana for being here. Karibu, Kenya. So Caroline and Clement have been with us, and the conversation has been about Chukball, Kenya. And that brings today's edition of Sports Check to a close. But remember, we'll be back with another interview. This is at 1:30 p.m. We're going to be having a conversation with the team principal of M Sport Forward. His name is Richard Milliner. 1:30 p.m. is when he is going to be joining us. So I'll be back. So look out for that. My name is Daniel Wahome. Coming up next, Kurunzi Mashinani and Tambrini with Nancy Okware. Our sign language interpreter has been Anne Wangeshi. Have a good day.
We wanted to find out how the situation differs from country to country, so we sent out our team of correspondents to find some answers. Here's what they brought back from Ghana, Uganda, and Kenya.
Brain drain has a mixed impact in Kenya. On the one hand, it takes highly skilled workers outside the country. On the other hand, they send large amounts of money back home. In 2022, remittances from Kenyans living abroad became the largest source of foreign exchange, amounting to $4.3 billion. In fact, Kenya's president announced that he hopes to double this number and export even more Kenyan workers. Kenyan data shows that migration increases with the level of education. Healthcare workers are some of the main professionals leaving Kenya for better jobs or further education. In fact, Kenyan healthcare workers went to the streets complaining about the lack of good and stable jobs, even though hospitals here are understaffed.
In 2022, Ghana's youth unemployment rate stood at 7.14%. Now, millions of young Ghanaians are constantly searching for new jobs. Many of them, sadly, including those with essential skills, only see themselves doing better outside Ghana.
When you stay at one place, like you are killing your career. But then once you take that very bold step, moving from your comfort zone and then stepping out, looking at the country like Germany, it's a place for the future.
Well, what excites me about the career opportunity is that you get to learn different views from other people. You get to learn new ideas, new technology, new languages and all that.
The key destination has been Europe and the Americas. In fact, Germany is second only to the United Kingdom as top destinations for the Ghanaian diaspora populations. Now, Ghana